Hello and welcome to another AIC video. Today we're going to be refurbishing a T14 Gen 2 that I bought for 70 bucks on eBay. Normally when I'm refurbishing computers, I'll sit there and listen to some really good music, but that's all copyrighted. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, or I'm going to ramble on about, I should say, the state of buying used computers right now, especially ThinkPads. ThinkPads are probably the worst right now. I've been able to get much better deals on HPs. I haven't looked at Dells because I'm not a big fan of the current Dell lineup, or at least in this generation of Dell. Anyways, let's go ahead and open this box and then get to talking. So, first of all, why did I buy this T14 Gen 2? I recently did a video with some HPs, and the BIOS of the AMD one didn't give me an option. I'm pretty confident is an option on this ThinkPad, so I just wanted to make sure A, I wasn't crazy, and B, show the kind of difference it would make with that that option, specifically for the video memory. So I wanted a laptop with exactly the same AMD CPU. So let's go ahead. Now, ooh, that's warm. I live in Arizona. It's like 100 degrees outside right now, and that laptop is hot from the temperature. But anyways, so in the past, I've gone over how to buy ThinkPads and stuff a number of times in previous videos. But right now, the state of buying a used computer kind of really sucks. It's really not great. They did not put this back together correctly because RAM and SSD prices are so high right now. All these guys are just yanking the RAM and SSD out of these guys and reselling the RAM and SSD by themselves, because reselling the RAM and SSD by themselves because, you know, it's not as much shipping, it's cheaper, not as much packaging, and they make more profit. And then they sell the computer, like this one, as a parts-only machine. And that, to me, is really frustrating, because it's like, yeah, I get that they need to make money. I don't begrudge somebody for making money, but they're selling a significantly worse product that they could have because of the market. Just because RAM and SSDs are so expensive right now, they're able to do this scalping thing. I get this one, yeah. And so it's just very frustrating for anybody who's in the market for a used computer. You have to contend with these guys selling you something that is overpriced because they have stripped it of necessary components. And then at the same time, you have to then go out and buy those necessary components at the current inflated prices. Oh my goodness, this one does not want to open up. Come on. Got the back done. Gotta get this side open. And so, you know, they sell them. And in the past, I would say avoid parts-only machines. But right now, there's actually so many parts-only machines that are working computers that have just been stripped of necessary components. Now, this one I believe just has an 8 gig soldered memory. A lot of these have 16 gigs, and so I have an X13 that I haven't done a video on yet, but kind of the basis of the video I'm planning on doing on it is about how soldered memory actually, in a lot of ways, is a saving grace for used computer buyers because they can't strip that off. Oh my goodness, this just does not want to come off, does it? Normally, these are so much easier to get apart. You're just fighting me because I have it on camera right now. Anyways, so they can't strip the soldered RAM, but they strip everything else. Even one of the last laptops I bought, actually the X13 I'm thinking about, they actually took the wireless adapter, which those haven't gone up in price, so I don't know why they would take that component necessarily. It's kind of ridiculous with the way the market is right now. All right, so I finally got it. This is the most annoying clip because it's so small right here, and this specific clip is so easy to break if you're not careful. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. I just had to not be reaching around a camera to do it. All right, so let's. All right, that's for the SSD. I was wondering what that clicky clack noise was. So it's a good thing I didn't try to turn this on first, because that would have easily caused a short if I wasn't aware. One of the first things I always do when I buy a used computer is take apart and just make sure everything looks good. And I'm glad I did that this time. Okay. All right, now I have a full-length SSD, so we'll throw that in there. I spent almost as much for the stinking SSD as I did for the whole laptop. It's so frustrating right now. Anyways, like I was saying in the past, normally I'd say avoid refurbished computers because you're not saving that much on the machine while giving up possibly a lot in reliability or cosmetic issues or whatever the problem might be. But in this case, just double check, this is DDR4, yeah, PC4, okay, and it's 8 gigs. So this has 8 gigs soldered, and I'm adding another 8 gigs. The reason why I'm doing that is the machine I am going to be comparing it to also has 16 gigs, and so I want, as much as possible like for like. But now that they're stripping these machines, so that way you're getting a machine that has less. It's just really frustrating to me that they're doing it. And so you can get sometimes a really good deal on a laptop. Like this one, so far cosmetically looks really clean. Obviously I haven't opened it up. I know there's some, pressure marks on the screen from the keyboard, which is pretty common, especially if it's been stored stacked or whatever. Sorry for my fat arm in the camera. Come on. That does not want to. Did they strip the crap out of that? Let me get a different screwdriver in a second. There we go. When I bought my LTD screwdriver, it did not come with any bits, so I'm just reusing some old ones, so that's on me. Get that out of there. All right. Are they all loose now? This kind of gives me a good idea of what the health of the machine is, with how or the use of the machine, I should say, with how dry the thermal paste is. Oh, come on. There we go. That actually looks, honestly, like barely used at all. It's still kind of wet. That's definitely still factory thermal paste, but it looks like it was, like normally I get it, it's all dry and almost powdery, and this looks like there's still moisture in it, so that's pretty crazy. Let's just scrape off some of the old stuff here. We'll clean that with some alcohol here in a second. Just clean off the majority of it with a soft plastic tool. Careful, there's chips all along here, so you don't want to catch those. I'm just trying to clean up. The more I can get off this way, the less scrubbing I have to do of the CPU. And this stuff, it will get on everything and get everywhere. So make sure you're doing this on a surface that you don't care about and that you don't touch anything afterwards, because like it won't hurt anything, but it just gets everywhere. Like like if you touch, like my screwdriver is covered in thermal paste. It just gets everywhere. It's kind of oil. It's an oil-based thing, so it just is sticky and lasts. All right. No. I just have some 91% isopropyl alcohol. So this thermal paste was probably just fine. Like I said, normally a system that's a few years old like this, that thermal paste is pretty dry and crusty. So I'm actually impressed. Let me just get my eye on this better. Alright, it doesn't have to be like 100% perfect around there, but it does have to be pretty good. Now, this is something I do, and I have noticed a difference. With this heatsink, the only mounting pressure is from these little tabs. So I just take and just bend them up just a hair. And it doesn't require a lot, but I feel like I've done tests before and after, and I get a little extra pressure, mounting pressure, which seems to have an effect on the cooling I get. So if anybody wants to tell me otherwise, they're welcome to, but I have noticed a better thermal performance after bending those up just a little bit, so it gets a little bit better pressure between the CPU and the heatsink. Alright, probably good enough. Probably too much, honestly, but too much is never a terrible thing. Pressure there. I think that's all we need to do so far. This fan looks really clean. I don't see any dust on it at all. Like, my own computers are dustier than that after I've dusted them. You can see here, that looks like some fingerprint thermal paste there, but yeah, like the bottom of this looks like it's very unused. So anyways, yeah, I'm really disappointed with resellers. I don't want to say scalping, because that's not the right word, but taking advantage of the current situation by stripping machines of their necessary components, reselling those components at a premium. I don't love it. It's not clipped, but it's good enough for right now. I'm not even going to screw it back together right now. Oh, are you going to get up over those ports? Just clip it back together so it's secure. Yeah, that keyboard's kind of gross. It definitely looks used here. Like, there's definitely use on the trackpad. There's some stickiness on the power button. Oh, ha! It's not stickiness. It still has a peel. There we go. So, definitely some use on the trackpad. Everything else actually looks pretty okay. Let's go ahead. It didn't power on when I plugged it in or pushed the power button. So let's plug it in and charge it. It did not come with a power adapter, so fortunately I have a bunch laying around. All right, let's go down to config, display, and this is the setting I was talking about. See, we can go up to 8 gigs. We only have 16 gigs, so we can give the graphics card half the video memory I didn't check. Let me get back into that. Now I'm going to install Windows on here just for like for like comparison, but I may turn this into a Linux machine for myself. I really need to switch myself over to being on Linux. So what I'm looking for is security to make sure there's no security thing shield. Oh, come on. Device card is off. Okay. Yeah, I don't need a password, and it's let me make changes, so I think we are good. I don't think we have any weird BIOS thing. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and set it to defaults. And then F10. All right, let me grab my Windows USB drive and we will install Windows. All right, this system does not support batteries that are not genuine, Lenovo made, or authorized. I have not seen this message before, and I didn't look at that battery. So, I don't care. It should work just fine. But we'll see, I guess. I created this USB via Rufus. I have other videos on how to create a bootable USB drive. It's really simple. Download the Windows Media Creation tool for Windows 11. Create an ISO, and then use Rufus to I need to disable that alert. It's probably a BIOS setting that I reset to default, but easy enough to fix, I'm sure. But use Rufus to then create the bootable USB drive that lets you then install Windows and bypass some of the crap that Windows makes you do, like having an online account and stuff. So yeah, so I'll go ahead and uninstall Windows, and we'll just make sure everything works as expected. So be back in a few, because I don't think you see me sit here, click next. All right, so it's actually been a couple days since the last part of my video. Yeah, I've tried to do as much benchmarking and comparisons as I could. That made sense to me to do. So we're going to talk through some of those. A couple things real quick though. If you saw the first part of this video, I did not screw in the heatsink. I did catch that before I installed Windows. So we didn't run this without the heatsink properly screwed on. So no worries there. I know somebody's going to call me out on it, so I thought I'd mention it. Once again, my little TP-Link wireless adapter came in clutch. The Windows install did not install drivers for the onboard Wi-Fi chip. I have yet to have a somewhat modern operating system not recognize this guy. Every version of Linux I've had, every Windows 10 and 11 install has installed drivers for this immediately. So it's been very useful in making sure that I get all the drivers for the machines installed, having that floating around. That being said, like I said, I wanted to walk through benchmarks on both these machines a little bit. Because the whole point of this is I was running under the assumption that the BIOS on this machine, on the Lenovo, lets you specify a specific RAM amount for the GPU. And I thought that if you added additional RAM and then specified, how much dedicated video RAM you could set aside for the system, it would allow the GPU to run faster. And that does not seem to be the case. So first off, this is the system with just the integrated 8 gig soldered to the system board. Obviously, that's going to have a fairly negative impact on the performance. You're not getting a dual channel RAM. It's limited on how much it can give to the graphics card. It's just overall worse performing because you basically have a single channel and it's only half as much RAM. So we're going to throw this one out. I just did it to show what you would get with this machine out of the box. So the first screenshot I have for you is the system running with 16 gigs of RAM and no dedicated video setting on here. And actually I did a previous test as well. So I have here the first RAM I did, but this one gave me absolutely terrible performance, and I didn't realize it was, I don't know if you could read that, it's only a 2133 speed DIMM, and this one has two 8 gig DIMMs that are 3200. So I went and I dug in my box and I found another 8 gig that was 3200. So at least this would have matching speed for one of the DIMMs, and they both had 8 gigs times 2, 16 gigs. So I was actually quite surprised at the difference, not in just this GPU, but the CPU as well. Quite a bit slower CPU there. And then I ran it again and specified that this had 4 gigs of video memory, and I didn't take a screenshot of that because it was basically exactly the same. Then I bumped it up to 16 gigs and told it to set aside 8 gigs for, so I grabbed this guy here. This is 16 gig DIMM, also at 3200, and said to give it 8 gigs for the GPU. And it honestly performed worse than this. And so I ran it again, and this time I just set it to auto, and the auto performed much closer for the 3D Mark, but the CPU was still way off. So I ran it again, and the thing that's driving me crazy is I have this set for high performance, but it's only getting up to like 76 degrees centigrade, where this one had pushed it to 99.5. So for whatever reason, this system is not pushing the CPU very hard at all. So I'm getting a pretty low score in my benchmarks. I did have the case all snapped together, and I ran it all snapped together just to see if that had any effect, and it was exactly the same. So it's not the case, it's not the fan, it's not the power settings because I have it set for high performance. The battery on this is bad. I don't know if that would have an effect on how hard the CPU can be pushed. But it is a worse performing system than this one, despite having, depending on how it configured, more RAM, the exact same CPU. And so yeah, I'm a little confused at my results because they definitely are very different than my expectation. So in my last video I did, my assumption was that the AMD would have the better integrated GPU. That was not the case. It was significantly better CPU performance, but slightly worse or similar GPU performance. Then I thought that because of the setting in the BIOS to dedicate video memory on this system, that it would perform better with dedicated integrated system RAM, and it didn't. And so all of my assumptions, throw them out the window. I'm very confused. So if anybody has any thoughts on this system, why it wouldn't be pushing that performance through the CPU, why it's keeping it from running to its full potential, I'd love to know that. Even just looking down here, it maxed out at 30.35 watts, and this one maxed out at 27.52 watts. So yeah, it's just the cores, it just isn't hitting the wattage that I think it should be, because this one maxing out the cores at 27.37, 14.43. So I'm confused as why this one is not pushing that CPU very hard. If I have to buy a battery, that's really going to kill me, because it's like 40 bucks for a stinking battery to get the full performance out of it just for this comparison. So if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, if you'd like me to throw a battery in this, I have some links down below to support my channel. I even have a buy me a coffee where you can even comment and tell me exactly what you want me to spend the money on. So anyways, yeah, hopefully somebody finds this interesting, or at least informative. And if you have any criticisms, I'm open to them to see what I can do to maybe have this be a better, fairer comparison between the two systems. So yeah, anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you have an amazing day.